Blue Ivy isn't being raised as a child. She is being engineered as a corporate asset, and the one woman who survived that exact same family machine is quietly terrified. When Michelle Williams stood on that Coachella stage delivering a flawless, historic performance, she looked completely unstoppable to the world. But internally, she was actively planning her own funeral that exact same night. Michelle knows the agonizing psychological price this family demands just to learn how to wear that glitzy mask of perfection. The exact same military-style management of Matthew Knowles, the tyrant who routinely broke young girls down to tears and stripped them of their childhood, has officially become the blueprint inside the Carter house. Michelle isn't speculating from the outside. She was literally in the hospital room holding Blue Ivy the day she was born, and what she has witnessed behind those closed doors has left her deeply shaken.
Anybody ever doubted the relationship between the three of us? Google that interview when Kelly says they watched me give birth. Like, how much more intimate can a person be with you? Besides making the baby, we saw you bring the baby into the world.
If you genuinely believe that winning a Grammy at 9 years old is a fairy tale, you need to wake up, because the dark history repeating itself under that roof right now is about to drop your jaw. To understand why this situation has the inner circle panicking, you have to look at the architectural blueprint of the Carter Empire. This isn't just about a strict household. Critics argue we are watching a systematic replication of the most grueling management style in music history. The glamorous lifestyle Blue Ivy lives today is built on a foundation laid by Matthew Knowles, a man whose training regimen was less about artistic expression and more about military-style endurance. Industry observers have documented the reality of the early Destiny's Child days, where young girls were forced to run miles while singing to build their lung capacity. It wasn't a game. It was an uncompromising, high-stakes factory designed to build the ultimate pop star, completely disregarding the emotional baseline of the children trapped inside it. Public perception has shifted over the years from viewing Matthew as a visionary mastermind to recognizing the heavy psychological toll his methods left behind. The consequences of that era aren't just rumors, they are etched into public record. Latavia Roberson explicitly stated in past interviews that Matthew did not mince his words, revealing that his harsh, relentless criticism would routinely drive a young Kelly Rowland to her room in tears. Think about that for a second. These weren't seasoned executives fighting for a corporate promotion. These were little girls trying to survive the towering expectations of a parental figure who doubled as their boss. When the public looks at Blue Ivy hitting every single mark on a global stage, the older generation doesn't just see talent, they see the haunting echo of that exact same conditioning. The psychological fallout became undeniably clear in 2017 when Michelle Williams sat on the panel of The Talk and dropped a bombshell that silenced the entire room. She revealed that when she finally gathered the courage to disclose her severe, agonizing depression to their manager at the height of their success, his response was completely dismissive. He looked at a suffering young woman and told her, "Y'all just signed a multi-million-dollar deal. You're about to go on tour. What do you have to be depressed about?" That single interaction exposed the toxic core of the entire operation. If you are making millions, your mental health is completely irrelevant. This is the exact point where public debate turns aggressive. Look at how this corporate tracking has escalated. The machine didn't slow down after the tour, it kicked into overdrive. The world just watched Beyoncé and Jay-Z pull major industry strings to bypass the legendary, strict 18 and overage policy of the Met Gala just to debut a 14-year-old Blue Ivy in front of the global fashion press. Industry observers immediately noticed the shift. This isn't standard parenting, it is the calculated deployment of a multi-million-dollar human brand. The corporate expectations are higher, the global stage is larger, and the isolation is infinitely more profound. The public reaction to Blue Ivy's early achievements highlights this deep cultural divide. When she won a Grammy Award at just 9 years old for her feature on Brown Skin Girl, half the world cheered for the historic milestone, while the other half watched with an underlying sense of dread. Critics argue that handing a child the highest accolade in the music industry before she even enters middle school creates an impossible psychological trap. When your baseline for success starts at a Grammy, where do you go from there? The consequence is a child who is conditioned to believe her only worth lies in global validation and hyperachievement. Behind the scenes, the timeline of Blue Ivy's life shows a nonstop escalation from a private childhood into a highly visible brand asset. Even during casual public appearances, like her recent presence alongside Jay-Z at the high-profile Reasonable Doubt anniversary events, every single look, her blonde highlighted waist-length braid, and her jeweled nails are meticulously picked apart by commercial beauty outlets. She is positioned as the definitive heir to a multi-generational legacy, functioning as a high-fashion chameleon before she even has her driver's license. Internet reactions suggest that fans are starting to notice a distinct, rigid stiffness in how these public photo ops are handled, contrasting sharply with the organic, carefree childhood of regular kids. The emotional consequence of this lifestyle is an extreme, mandatory isolation. A child growing up as an international target cannot just go to the mall, have a normal sleepover, or make mistakes away from the camera lens. Michelle Williams knows the specific brand of isolation intimately. She knows what it feels like to have millions of people screaming your name while you feel entirely invisible and empty on the inside. She watched the Knowles family machine demand absolute perfection from Beyoncé and Kelly, and she knows that the habits learned in childhood are the habits you pass down to your own kids. The narrative taking over the culture right now is a terrifying question of awareness. Is Beyoncé, in her pursuit of making her daughter unstoppable, accidentally using the exact same cold, corporate blueprint that her father used on her? The public is forced to grapple with the reality that history doesn't always repeat itself with a different villain. Sometimes, it repeats itself through the people who survived it. The high-pressure environment inside the Carter house isn't just about discipline. It's a billion-dollar machine that doesn't have a switch to turn off. The public mask of absolute perfection completely shattered during the Renaissance World Tour, forcing the entire industry to re-examine the heavy emotional toll hiding behind those stadium lights. When 11-year-old Blue Ivy stepped onto that massive stage in Paris, hitting every heavy choreographic count alongside her mother, the immediate global reaction was pure awe. But industry observers quickly noticed the darker, uglier side of that hypervisibility. Within minutes of her first performance, adult internet commentators flooded social media with brutal, hypercritical breakdowns of a preteen's rhythm and stage presence. The immediate consequence was a child thrust directly into the line of fire of global social media trolling, proving that the entertainment machine offers zero protection for a young girl's mental health, no matter how famous her parents are. This public scrutiny triggered an immediate, unspoken crisis behind the scenes that closely mirrors Michelle Williams' own darkest history. In 2018, the world watched Michelle reunite with Beyoncé and Kelly Rowland for a legendary, high-octane performance at Coachella. To the public, she was on top of the world, a flawless icon delivering a masterclass in pop perfection. Yet, Michelle later dropped a chilling bombshell. During that exact same year, she was voluntarily checking herself into a psychiatric facility because she was actively planning her own funeral. The emotional fallout of this revelation completely shifted public perception. It proved that in this family's universe, the ability to put on a dazzling, robotic smile for 80,000 screaming people has absolutely nothing to do with whether you're dying on the inside.
Some treatment because I was getting a little too comfortable with those thoughts and I wasn't feeling safe with myself. But at the end of the day, I knew that that's not what I wanted to do, but I was getting way too comfortable with the thoughts. And I think the more you think about something, the more you might actually end up doing.
Critics argue that Blue Ivy is being conditioned to master this exact same dangerous duality. When the public saw Blue return to the stage in subsequent cities, appearing colder, sharper, and completely unfazed by the internet backlash, the media celebrated it as a triumph of resilience. But psychological experts and concerned onlookers saw a far more troubling narrative. They argued that a child adapting that quickly to mass public hostility isn't just tough, she is actively learning how to suppress her natural human emotions to protect the family brand. The consequence is a terrifying conditioning where achievement and public approval are prioritized far above baseline emotional safety. The timing of these events links directly back to an institutional pattern of ignoring internal suffering for financial gain. When Michelle Williams originally went public about her battle with depression during her time in Destiny's Child, the corporate machinery did not pause to help her. Instead, The response she received from management was an explicit reminder of her multi-million-dollar contract and upcoming tour dates. The industry context here is vital. The Carter empire functions under that exact same high-yield corporate blueprint. The machine cannot stop moving, the stadiums are already booked, and the billion-dollar brand relies on absolute uniformity. Public discourse has escalated because fans are realizing that Blue Ivy isn't just a daughter learning her mother's trade. She is an active employee of a massive, uncompromising corporate entity. This high-pressure dynamic becomes even more severe when looking at how the family handles internal trauma away from the public eye. Industry insiders report that the untouchable, robotic image the Carters present to the world is an exhausting, 24/7 performance that drains everyone involved. When Jay-Z was hit with a massive, high-profile legal battle, the cracks in that untouchable armor began to show behind closed doors. Reports surfaced that Beyoncé didn't turn to a clinical therapist or an industry advisor to handle the crushing weight of the situation. Instead, she allegedly turned to Michelle Williams, spending days crying and praying in absolute isolation. The consequence of this hidden reaction is massive. It proves that the matriarch of the empire herself is buckling under the unbearable pressure of maintaining a flawless public legacy. If a seasoned, global icon like Beyoncé breaks down in private from the sheer isolation of their lifestyle, public commentators argue it is completely absurd to believe a 12-year-old child can navigate that exact same environment unscathed. Michelle Williams has witnessed this internal weeping firsthand. She has held the hands of the mother while the empire threatened to overwhelm her, which is precisely why her quiet concern for the daughter carries such an aggressive, heavy weight. The public debate has reached a boiling point as onlookers connect these structural pieces. On one side, loyal supporters argue that Beyoncé's intense focus on blue stage precision is an act of ultimate maternal protection, preparing her child for a hostile world by making her completely bulletproof. On the other side, critics claim this isn't protection. It is systemic assimilation into a toxic environment that breaks human beings down for entertainment. The emotional tension is no longer about whether Blue Ivy can dance. It is an ideological war over whether a child should ever be forced to carry the weight of a billion-dollar legacy before her personality is even fully formed. But just when the internet thought the situation couldn't get worse, a new detail completely changed the narrative. The stakes have officially reached a breaking point as the boundary between building a legacy and corporate child conditioning completely vanishes. The ultimate consequence of this hypervisible lifestyle is no longer a debate about stage presence. It has shifted into a cultural war over the psychological survival of a child star forced to carry a multi-billion-dollar brand asset on her back. The timeline of Blue Ivy's public footprint reveals an undeniable, rapid acceleration into high-stakes industry excellence. By 2021, at just 9 years old, Blue Ivy officially became one of the youngest Grammy winners in music history for her performance on Brown Skin Girl. This wasn't a casual, behind-the-scenes family moment. It was a concrete, commercial validation that thrusted her into the history books before she even hit puberty. Fast forward to her complete commercial integration, and the schedule became brutal. 4 months, she was subjected to relentless paparazzi chaos, massive stadium crowds, and grueling travel schedules during massive world tours. Public records show she was performing high-yield corporate choreography every single night under intense global scrutiny, a schedule that would break a seasoned adult performer. By 2026, the public tracking of her lifestyle confirmed an environment of complete corporate isolation. She is flanked by elite private security teams, shielded by heavy non-disclosure agreements, and completely removed from the normal social spaces where a regular teenager can safely make mistakes away from a lens. Inside the music industry, executives and former child stars are looking at this rapid timeline with growing anxiety. Prominent industry observers have publicly noted that the entertainment machine historically rewards hyperachievement while completely punishing emotional vulnerability. Insiders argue that when a child's baseline for familial validation starts at a Grammy Award and a stadium tour, it creates a dangerous psychological feedback loop. Veteran choreographers and tour managers have quietly noted that the level of discipline demanded from Blue Ivy requires an environment of absolute uniformity, one where personal feelings, fatigue, or typical childhood rebellion are entirely incompatible with the nightly corporate schedule. The consensus among industry veterans is clear. The Carters aren't just raising a daughter, they are rigorously training a corporate successor, and the psychological cost of that level of perfectionism is always paid in full. This intense corporate environment has caused public perception to shift aggressively across social media, turning comment sections into a battlefield. Massive online speculation suggests that behind the scenes, Michelle Williams is harboring a deeply rooted protective instinct because she recognizes the exact signs of emotional burnout. The internet is wildly debating whether Beyoncé's hyper-focus on her daughter's precision is driven by a subconscious projection of her own upbringing. Critics are heavily speculating that history is actively repeating itself, claiming that Blue Ivy is being programmed to believe her only value lies in her accolades and her ability to remain completely unbothered by public malice. The most disturbing speculation taking over the culture right now is the terrifying question of what happens when the music stops. If Michelle Williams was secretly planning her own funeral while delivering a flawless, historic performance to the world, fans are widely speculating that Blue Ivy is being forced to wear that exact same glitzy, suffocating mask, hiding a mountain of immense pressure behind a cold, robotic, and perfectly rehearsed smile. The final piece of this puzzle isn't about a messy public statement or an internet rumor. It's about the terrifying realization that the warning has been staring us in the face this entire time. Michelle Williams hasn't had to come out and media blast her own family because her entire life story is the warning. She is the living, breathing proof of what happens when you survive that military-style Knowles management machine, and her silent, protective anti-instinct right now speaks louder than words ever could. The absolute mystery that should keep everyone up at night is this: if a seasoned, global icon like Beyoncé is allegedly breaking down in private under the unbearable weight of this billion-dollar image, how can a 14-year-old child possibly survive it? What did Michelle actually witness behind those closed, fortified doors that has the inner circle quietly panicking? You need to be completely honest with me down in the comments right now. Are Beyoncé and Jay-Z actually building an unstoppable legacy for Blue Ivy, or are they low-key repeating the exact same toxic, high-pressure cycle that Matthew Knowles used to break these girls down in the first place? Is a Grammy at 9 years old worth sacrificing a normal childhood? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now, because as the culture gets louder and the pressure down at the Carter house keeps mounting, the truth is bound to completely fracture this empire, and you won't want to miss what happens when the mask finally slips.